Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series finale of Animal Kingdom. A great series finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, where we started present day kind of surprised me, because when Jay was actually part of the operations, I'm like, okay, you're going to screw them over at some point, but it seems like you're helping out with a plan until when he's driving, he does a U-turn. I'm like, you're bailing on them. And it's like, I thought at that moment you were just going to disappear, but he had to lay the groundwork to like throw his uncles under the bus, because they're like, where's Jay at? I was like, dude, he's throwing you. I mean, it's not too much of a surprise, but like where we started kind of surprised me. And I was like, okay, right, you had to play along long enough so they didn't see the switcheroo coming. So the fact is, you immediately sell your uncles out. They're able to get Pope out of the, off the bus. Luckily, that was pretty close quarters. The guy was up there, was already like, yo, I'm going to kill you. Like, Pope wasn't too worried about it, but, I think they avoided killing a lot of those cops. I think they just shot them in the legs and stuff. I mean, you left them bleeding, but they didn't kill them necessarily. I'm about to say, it's like, well, they could, I mean, the charges are still going to be pretty bad, but then it's like, well, later on, there are some dead cops, so you're like, no, yeah, this is, well, because the thing is, at the very least, if there are no dead cops involved, at the very least, maybe it could be like, oh, people get arrested. It's like, cops getting killed, it's like they're probably going to be out for blood now, so there's probably a very, very low chance of you surviving all of this. And just the fact that Jay goes back to the house and starts cleaning up, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I didn't understand. And it's because he was inviting Penny over, and he's just kind of, it's like, no, let's chill here for a little bit. You pack some stuff, like, let's go. Like, we'll I'll buy whatever you need. I'll buy you when we get there. So. But he also needed Penny there to be his alibi for when the cops sniff around, because like Jay did plan this all out. He is very, very smart, but the problem is he also underestimated the tenacity of his uncles, that they are very stubborn and they ain't going to go down that easy. So because Pope could already feel like, nah, something's off, because Pope is the paranoid type. So like, especially considering like, well, having failed on a job and ended up in prison and then ending back up in prison again, it's like, I'm not going back for a third time. So of course, like, Pope's probably got that sixth sense of like, there's something not right. It's like, where's that thing that tracks my, like, the chip inside of me? And it's like, Jay has it. They go see all the guns, and like Jay made sure they would not make it out of this. He took all the money, slashed the tires, and there were like no weapons for them to use either. He wanted to make sure that they did not even that they potentially, because he knows his uncles, they would try to go down swinging. So either it's like, oh, I'm gonna send them to prison forever. I'm assuming he was kind of hoping they die in a gunfight. So you'd think he probably would have left them some ammunition, but he probably didn't want to give them a fighting chance where they could potentially win the firefight and escape. It's like, I don't want to give you any chance. So, I mean, obviously it hits a chord with all of them that, man, we trusted Jay and he screwed us over. It's like, we all did. That's the thing, like, because Darren and Pope probably more so than anyone. Craig only recently turned around on Jay. Once again, they had that old conversation, was it last episode or episode before last, about how like he didn't trust Jay, didn't like him. It's like Darren grew to trust Jay. Like him and Jay kind of had like that like bond going forward. Him and Jay and Pope have always had an interesting dynamic, but like Jay and Craig have always been like the most disconnected amongst all four of them. So. And when Pope was like, yo, I'm going to stay behind, you guys go. And it's like, no, we're not going to. He's like, we got to go. You got to go. I'll be right behind you. I was like, he's not going to make it out of this. He's going to sacrifice himself. And it's like, of course he is, because he's like, not only is he the older brother, two, it's like, he knows they have more to live for than him. It's like, what does Pope have? He doesn't have anybody. But Darren's got Ren. He's got Nick. Darren, at the very least, has, Adrian. I mean, that's at least something. Is like, you still have your life ahead of you. This is kind of on me. You guys are in this position because you came to bust me out. So, and when he actually survived the gunfight, I was like, oh, okay, so you're not. I was so certain he was going to get like gunned down and then like captured or something. I was actually super surprised. Like no like secret like off camera, like not off camera, but just out of nowhere, bang, like someone walks up and pops you. Like, I'm surprised that didn't go down, and I'm glad. I didn't want it to be like any, jumping ahead a little bit, any deaths, they were kind of like slower and drawn out so you could feel the emotion of it. It was like there were no like quick deaths. Well, I guess like Penny's like is the closest one, which is heartbreaking. Because I didn't know, at first I was like, are you going to try and drug her and bring her along? It's like, no, you wouldn't be able to get her on a flight because you're supposed to be taking a flight there. It's like, of course you're killing her because you can't take the chance that she might tell the police, because she didn't sign up for this. It's like, and that's the sad thing, is like the Codys have a tendency to destroy every relationship they've ever been. Like, no one kind of walked away happy relationship wise. Jay just ended up killing his girlfriend, which wouldn't be the first time. I mean, obviously, I'm blanking on her name, but like from the first 2 seasons, someone he got wrapped up in all of this. Oh, she got shot and she was kind of bleeding out. What did he do? Toss her in front of the hospital and bailed. Ended up killing Mia, so, and now it's like, I think there's just something inside. I mean, to be fair, it's something inside of all of them that's broken, but Jay's broken on the inside. And for him, it was almost just kind of like, no. Like, this is supposed to be us. It's like, this is a woman you met not too long ago. You're literally throwing everything at her all at once. It's like, cool, my uncles might be serious. My uncles are killers. I basically want to change the account. Like, she pretty much knew that you were basically hijacking them, and now it's like, wait, did you know that they were going to break? I was like, no, just I took care of my uncles. I called the cops. So she's like, you knew ahead of time this was going to happen. I just can't do this. He's like, don't you love me? She's like, of course I do. And he's like, can you at least stay here with me until it's time for me to go? And she's like, of course. And he ended up killing her. And it, like, there's almost this twisted, not even irony, poeticness to like the fact that he ended up killing her once again, because he kind of has not worked out for him great relationship wise. Once again, none of them have had the great, like, Craig's had the most consistent relationship with Ren. It's been on and off, and that hasn't been the great. Like, there's been some toxic, very toxic elements to their relationship, but for him to like kill her in that manner, it's almost like his mom ODing too. So like it all kind of comes full circle in certain regards, And for Jay, he's just like furious and like smashing the place up. Because at the same time, and it kind of plays into what I was saying, but not exactly. Because my theory, if you hadn't haven't listened to my previous reviews, my theory was like, okay, maybe in conjunction with Jay being born, that Jay would be dying at the end of this series or something like that. Or, I wasn't quite sure how it was going to play out for Jay. And I was right to some extent, because next time, like, we're in the past, it's been about a year or so, and Julia's pregnant now, and they're like, oh, like, who... It makes me wonder, was her, like... Because they said, like, oh, like, because it's like, oh, Smurf got rid of all your stuff, like, a year ago. So it has been, like, a year. So I wonder, because they were, like, asking if it was Baz's. I wonder, did her and Baz still hook up from time to time or something like that? But in the end, Julia was like, I don't even know who because, like I said, someone had answered that, but I can't remember. I don't think it was ever confirmed that Baz was Jay's dad. You'd think on some level he is, but like I said, I don't even think on the show, because even Julia didn't know at that point in time. But she broke into the house to steal from them. Sadly, Pope was there, like, making bullets, and sadly ended up locking Julia in the bathroom. And he saw, like, for one, he saw how strung out she was, and the fact that she was pregnant. So, and we even see Baz. He's got the short hair now. It's like, oh yeah, turning into got the same haircut, obviously, as he will, as older Baz, played by Scott Speedman. So I thought that was kind of very poetic. And you could almost say, like, Pope isn't the same person either, because obviously it's been like a year. They're still, like, they've been doing jobs and stuff. So, and the moment Baz heard that, you can tell he has a little bit of resentment. I guess maybe the whole Julia thing, Smurf always held a little bit of a grudge against Baz for that, or maybe it's just kind of the beginnings of, yeah, she gets to dictate the rules, because she's like, oh, it's like $60,000 or something. She's like, take 5 and leave the rest, and he's just kind of begrudgingly taking it, because it's like, oh, I'm getting food scraps. Because once again, Smurf has always been the one that divvy up the money, so I think that's kind of supposed to be beginnings of that, of just like, right, eventually her kids resented her, like, running the operations. It's like, no, we're the ones doing all the hard work. You're the one kind of barking out orders, and you're the one that gets to decide who gets what money when. Like, she kind of basically put them on allowances and stuff, so it might have just been leaning into that. But the moment he heard about Julia, like, he was like checking in on her, but he didn't really check in on her. He just brought her a sandwich saying like, yeah, this is what Smurf asked me to get you. And that's the only scene they had together in the episode. That's actually kind of sad considering everything that went down. But it's like, for him, it's like, I'm not about to ruin what I have. Like, it's like, this is the only family, this is the only home I have. I cared about you at one point, Julia, but I'm not about to, that self-preservation of, I got to look out for me. And so Pope ends up checking in on Julia, and she talks about that she is feeling better, and she talks to Smurf, and Smurf's like, okay, cool. Because like, what's the Craig come over and say? He's like, hey, which I think maybe there's some poeticness to that. Jumping around a little bit, the fact is Craig ends up dead at the end of all this. That the fact is that what was the word that he had said he was saying to Julia, like, oh, I'm not giving you a room back. It's like, oh, don't worry, sweetie, she's not staying. I was going to give her money to go, but Pope was like, no, let's put her in rehab. Which the way they made it sound like they've tried it probably sometime afterwards, and then she bailed on it. So this might have been like their second attempt to put her in rehab, and Smurf didn't really want to do it, but Pope did. He wanted to give her a shot. He wanted her to be okay. And for her, it's like, right, I can do it this time. I will do it this time. I will get clean for the baby. And the fact of the matter is, they were on their way. Like, she's even talking to Andrew about, like, oh, we could, how's the name Josh sound? Call him Jay for short. And it's like, oh, nice. And she's like, I'm glad. I really miss you. And then what does Smurf do? Smurf is dropping her off. It's like, oh, you think we're going to waste money on a rehab? It's just like, God, Smurf, once again, every opportunity to do the right thing, to do right by, let's not forget, your daughter, your grandchild. That makes you picking up Jay even that much more of a spit in the face when you're like, oh, you and that bastard. Once again, like, I'm not going to give a cent to you or that bastard. The fact is that you only wanted Jay now because you saw an opportunity to continue your legacy. Because you felt like, well, Julia was a failure. I'm going to take this kid in. I'm going to raise him right. I'm going to be the grandmother he's always wanted. Like, it's like you wanted nothing to do with Jay. You wanted nothing to do with his mom, your own daughter. You threw her to the curb, and Pope, when the time came, he didn't go with her. She was like, come with me. You just need to get away from her. Even to the point, Smurf pulled a fucking gun on her own daughter. Was like, get out the car. Because you could tell on the drive, like, they were getting close again. You could see it in Smurf's face. It was this anger. Because Julia is the only one to have sway over not only Pope, but also Baz. She likes having control of everything. And Julia, like I said, I don't know whether it's some subconscious level thing of Julia's young and pretty, and that kind of bothers Smurf as she's getting older. So it's like, but it could also just be, you have sway over the two people that she has so much control over. It's like they get swayed so easily by her, but Smurf always will be the more powerful, dominant person and always rein them back in, Baz and Pope. And so in that moment, like, he chose to stay with his mom, and obviously, like, he regretted it, but it's like he buried a lot of that, I'm sure, and it sucks. It's like she had an opportunity, like, who knows what Julia's story would have been, who knows what Jay's story would have been, who they could have all been if Smurf hadn't done what she did, if she had, because Smurf holds a grudge, and it's like, I mean, I guess once again it all came full circle, but it's a sad thing. Like, it's not like Jay killed you in your prime. It's like, no, Jay killed you while you were sick. You wanted one of them to kill you anyway, so you kind of got what you want. But I guess to some extent you make the argument Jay/Julia ultimately got their W by killing her, just by, it's almost like it all come full circle. They got their retribution, but not really. It wasn't. I don't think that was 100% the driving force, but I mean, I think it's that self-preservation that had kind of kicked in, but also there are just so many layers to what it could be. It's never just one single thing, and like having now added context to, like, add fuel to it, because a lot of that stuff is who knows how much Julia told Jay about her history, like her dynamic, her family and everything, because to my recollection, he was completely unaware about what they did. So, but she probably didn't say anything about that, but she could have said, like, things about other avenues and aspects of the family, like just her relationship with her mom and her siblings. So, at the same time this is all going down, Darren and Craig try to hit up a store trying to, like, get some money and some first aids. Sadly, the kid ended up shooting Craig, and Darren wants to point. He's got the gun pointed at the kid, but it's like, right? Do I kill a kid who just tried to who thinks we're going to hurt his father? Like, but you hurt my brother. It's just like, and he's just like, I'm not going to kill a kid. So he bounces with Craig, and it's not good. And I didn't know if he was going to drop him off to Vince, but I don't know if Vince would necessarily help him in this particular time or not. I think if the situation called for it, he probably would have helped, but it would have drawn so much attention to him. He would have been an accomplice in all this. I don't know. All that matters is that Pope found his way back home and found Jay smashing up everything. Specifically, well, it was like a lot of the house, but it was specifically Smurf's room that he was bashing the hell up. And then Andrew choked him out. And I love at the very end, he's trying to play. He's like, "No, I had to kill her, Pope, because she was gonna tell. I had heat on me. I tried to come back for you. I wanted to warn you, face." He's like, "Stop lying. I didn't want to hear you talk anymore because no more lies. It's like we brought you in, treated you like family." And then he drops the facade. He's just like, "You deserved it." And it's like, my mom, none of you helped her. None of you did anything to her. You all deserve whatever comes to you, because it's like, you set me and my brothers up. My brother's up to die, and it's like, you all deserve it. Because at no point in time, we're not even talking about back when Darren and Craig were young, none of you helped. Because Smurf probably made it clear, Baz and probably even Darren and Craig from a young age, don't go near Julia. If you do, you're out of the family. I will give you the boot, and you'll be out in the streets with her too. None of them lent a hand. And it's not just on them. At no point to our knowledge, it seems like Smurf probably kept her word, and all those years never said or did anything for Julia until it came to Julia's death. And I think probably the only thing she probably did, because I don't remember who actually, I don't know if Smurf actually paid for Julia's funeral or not in retrospect. I'm sure you could probably watch the first episode really quickly and find out about that, but I don't know. Because I don't know if that was something like one of the others did, whether it was Pope or Baz who did that, or Jay when he had enough money. But I don't know if Smurf, because if Smurf did it, my point is that's probably the last and only thing that she did. Because even taking in Jay wasn't for her sake, that was for your own. But now we see also, you didn't give a shit about him either, which is, I think it was almost like a middle finger to Julia, you kind of failed as a mother. I was great. I was the perfect mother, and you screwed me up. You were a terrible daughter. You were a terrible mother. I think that's kind of what, Smurf did it out of spite. They'd be like, oh, now I'm going to raise your child, and he's going to be the success that you weren't, And in that moment, Pope is thinking about the last time he saw, at least one of the last, that might have been the last time he saw Julia. It's she was begging me to go, and at the same time this is all happening, Jay's in the pool drowning. It's yet again, it's man, you in this pool, my guy. And it's but I was Pope's going to end up saving him because he's going to do it for Julia. It's right, and he ended up saving Pope, and he admits this is my fault. It's I should have gone with her. Who knows what their story could have been. And for Jay, it's my mom loved you. She loved all of you, but y'all didn't lift a fucking finger for her. And for Pope, it's if I had done things this is your mom always wanted me to be normal, but I'm not normal. She wanted me to pretend, but I was never normal. But also, who knows who you could have been if you were further away from your mom. He was already kind of screwed from a young age, but also Smurf didn't help that. She never got him the help he needed. Who knows, how well-adjusted Andrew would have been. And so for Pope, to let Jay go, because, it's if it wasn't for that, your mom, Kat, even Baz, it's all that fell on their mom, and he was complicit with he's your mom was always the strong one, I was the weak one, and if I had her strength, none of this would have happened. If I hadn't been strong enough to leave Smurf's side and stay by Julia's side back then, who knows what their lives would have been. And he lets Jay go, and in that moment it's just him burning down the house, and last room he's in is Smurfs. And in that moment, the last thing he's holding on to is a picture of him, Smurf, and Julia. Which, the whole point of me saying about Jay, should have said it about Pope, because it all comes full circle to some extent. It's he couldn't protect or help Julia, but kind of making up for it now. It's like, right, let Jay live. It's like, it's all my fault. Take it, like, I think for him, it's almost like letting me, the bad part of this equation, you know, what was wrong with this equation to begin with, I had to be removed from it all. And now, like, maybe he's finally, hey, I can be with my sister and whatever comes next, you know, the afterlife or whatever. Or maybe I'm, you know, if I'm fortunate to end up in the same place, because I don't know. Who knows if Pope even really thinks about that? You know, he, you know, obviously got into religion for a little while, but still. But, you know, the point is pairing that, like, his last scene, the last scene before Pope dies, like, present day and past. The past is him sitting at the table, just, you know, going along with everything. And his mom being like, oh, eat your meatloaf, dear, or whatever. And he's just, like, present day him is just staring, just disgusted and hating himself. And he burns this house down, burns down everything it meant. They cherished his family, but he was also, like, probably like, yeah, this family was built on bullshit. You know, I fought so hard, believed so hard in this family, but it was all kind of bullshit. Burns it to the ground and, like I said, dies with that photo in his hand, you know? And it's sad. At the same time, Craig is bleeding out. Darren's trying to get him to TJ, but it's like, I won't be able to make it. And just stays by like a cliff so that he can see the ocean. And it's like, it's heartbreaking that it's like, Craig and Darren, that's always been the duo, more so than any of the, once again, they probably had a very, like, I mean, to be fair, they were the babies of the family regardless, but also it's like, in this moment, it's like, for Darren to be the one that survived too, and Craig, and I guess you could almost make the argument, it shouldn't be too surprising considering, like, the way Craig's lived his life. He was always, like, the fastball special amongst the family in the regard of just, like, the party hard, live even harder lifestyle that he kind of had. Like, it kind of made sense. Especially, once again, you plan, God laughs, right? He wants to marry Ren, like, he had a family to go back to other than his own family. And just for everything to kind of go to shit. And then in that moment, you know, for Craig, it's like the diamond, Ren, and Darren being like, I will look after Ren, I will raise Nick as if he's my own, and Craig dies in his arms. That's the thing. He has no family left. The only family he has left is 2 nephews. One he hates with a fiery passion because it's like, because of you, my brothers are like, all my brothers are dead. My sister's dead. My mom's dead. So it's like, his family's gone. You know, because Jay's dead to him already, so you never know. Like, I don't know if Darren's going to spend, like, Jay would have to spend the rest of his life avoiding his uncle. Like, I doubt Darren would go out of his way, but it almost would come full circle if Nick got older and found out about what Jay did and eventually tracked Jay down. It'd be almost poetic. To some extent, it's like, right, you came into this family that destroyed and left your mom and did nothing for her, and now it's like you kind of did the same thing for Nick. You took away his father from him. You played a role in it, at the very least. A major role in it, and now it's... Yeah, that's just... I wasn't sure where this was going to go. I was thinking, like, either Jay was going to die and the rest were going to survive, or the rest were going to die and Jay sort of... For it to be Jay and Darren, how poetic is that, you know? That, you know, once again, with the Darren and Pope, with the Craig and Pope of it all, it feels like that makes sense. But Darren surviving too was kind of like a surprise, but, you know, and like I said, it ends up being these two. Because that's the thing, because the argument could be made, like, so why did Jay, like, wait till now? I think, and this is kind of maybe me reading too much into it, but I think Jay believed, like, he let himself believe, like, all the lies about, like, all the bullshit about, no, this is a family, this is your family. He got swept up in it because for so long he had no family. And that's what I think is kind of the beautiful poeticness of it all, too. I kept being like, oh, maybe when he's being born, he ends up dying. No, Jay is coming into this situation, leaving this series the way he began this series. He went when he lost his mom, he technically had no family and joined the Cody family. And now at the end of it all, he's back to where he started. No family. And it's like, he's all alone. Because that's the thing. He's also enjoying that drink. Like, Penny was supposed to be by his side. He has no one. He has no family. Like, the only family he has left is a nephew who Ren's not going to let you anywhere near your nephew, because you also know you can't do that because there's a good chance Darren might. Like, if anyone survived, because he doesn't probably at the time he doesn't know that probably Pope died, but then he probably watched the news, probably found out about Craig and Pope, and it's like, oh, but they haven't found Darren. Darren's probably alive. So that's always a potential element of where the story could still go, where Darren could come after Jay, but he might just say, fuck it, like, wherever that bastard is, let him go. He's dead to me. I want nothing to do with him. I have a responsibility to my brother to put my need for revenge aside to take care of his family. But my point with Jay is that he probably buried it so long because he did get swept up of the notion of family. But this show showed you time and time again, he was never respected. He was never seen as a member of his family. Craig even said as much, like, yo, I didn't like you, didn't trust you. None of them did. And no matter what he did, like, I mean, the brawl out last season is proof enough of that. Like, it would always come down to, like, yo, I'm the issue, I'm the problem. That was always going to be an element of it. And I think finally what broke the camel's back is like, all right, I built this entire thing. I'm the one that kept the empire afloat. I learned everything from Smurf, and I've been running things. And they're like, oh, you want me to abandon ship for Pope? He's like, in that moment, so like, wait, no, I built all of this, and you want me to destroy the dynasty that I built, that this has been my baby. I'm the one that's put in this hard work while you guys never respected me, never, like, always backhanded, always, backseated my decisions. I think that was just the final straw for him. It's like, everything I built, everything I've set up, I have to have it stripped away, because I think in that moment it's just like, you know what? Fuck this family. I don't need them. I'll do it. I'll prove that I'm better than them. I'm smarter than them. It's like, right. It's like, I can't believe I let myself get stupidly caught up in this. Maybe the end result was always going to be that he was going to wait to the perfect time to fuck the family over, and this just happened to be that perfect opportunity. Or it could just simply be like, no, like something in him finally snapped, because it's like, once again, he's broken, and it's like, this form of what was essentially the only family he had is now about to break up. So it's almost like, wait, right, this family was always a shamble. It was always in shambles. It was a sham the entire time. So why have I fought so hard to be a part of something that no one ever wanted me to be a part of? Not my uncles, not my grandmother. It's just, yeah. And just, once again, what did he walk away with? Yeah, all that money. Yeah, you have all that money, those millions, and they mean nothing because you're all alone. You have no one, you have no family. So... And it's almost, I guess you could also look at it as poetic that she was back on the streets with Jay, pregnant with Jay, because he was going to pop in about 2 months from then. And now here he is, all these years later, all alone. So could this be a situation where, like, they could make it cement? Because you could see Jay starting his own crew and stuff like that. But leaving him all alone feels almost poetic at the end. Like I said, it just all kind of comes full circle in so many different regards. I think it's a very layered series finale. I am curious. I usually try not to look at series finale, because series finales are ones that people are like, either you stuck the landing or you didn't. I feel like they're the ones, those endings will be the ones that people are probably the most critical about. And I'm curious how people feel about this. Are they satisfied with this type of ending? Because there was no chance there was ever going to be a happy ending with this. What this story is, who they are, what that family is, all the shit that's associated with that family. Like, there's no way it was ever going to be a happy ending. So I am legitimately curious how most people feel about it. I might look into it later, maybe not, I don't know. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a hell of a series. It's actually a very sad, dour series finale. Like, well, once again, you expect, I guess I kind of expected it to kind of be anyway. Because I also love it. Like, it's not even like, oh, Jay won. It's like, Jay won, asterisk. I mean, truth be told, is he's all alone. It's like, yeah, that 5 million, yeah, that's cool and everything, but you have nothing and no one to share it with. So was it all worth it in the end? It's kind of the thing. You got, your revenge against his family. Like, was that even worth it? Because at the very least, if he had Penny by his side, then he'd have someone to share it all with, but he has no one. So but yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts. Like I said, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like always with these series finale type of situations, I thank you, cast and crew, everyone in front of the camera, behind the cameras, just everyone involved with this show. Thank you for bringing in these 6 amazing seasons. I came into this show late. I didn't start watching the show until it was probably like a couple episodes, maybe into season 4, by the time I started watching the show, so I came into it pretty late. But it's been one hell of a ride, and I thank everyone for making this show a thing. So once again, to cast and crew, everyone involved in the show, I wish them the best in their future endeavors. And so bringing this to a close. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.